Hi everybody. Many of my tutorials, both video and in my book, use QGIS in combination with Adobe Illustrator. This is a great pair that works really well, except for one thing. While QGIS is free, Illustrator definitely isn't. If you sign up for the Creative Cloud Pro plan, access to all Adobe products plus a lot of AI generation credits, it will set you back $69.99 every month. If you only want Illustrator, that's $22.99 per month. If you're paying this out of your own pocket, it adds up. Accordingly, many people use Inkscape, a free open-source vector drawing application. I've worked with Inkscape, and I have to admit I don't like it very much. The interface is clunky and non-intuitive, and things that are simple to do in Illustrator are often frustrating. But now there is a new free alternative, Affinity. This used to be about $50, a one-time purchase, but now Canva has taken it over and made it free. I think this is a far superior alternative to Inkscape, and every map maker should download it now. In this video, I'll show you how to get up to speed with Affinity and bring it into your map workflow. To download Affinity, go to this web address and click on the green Get Affinity button at the top. You'll need to sign up for a Canva account, which is free. Once you're logged in, click the button to download either the Mac or Windows version, then run the installer. When you open the app, you might be asked to log in. Once that's done, you'll see the welcome screen. This shows recent documents and some help tutorials. To create a new document, click on the green plus sign or go to File, New. You'll see a bunch of common page sizes with a settings panel to the right. You can adjust any of these settings. Click Create Document and you'll see the main workspace. The interface is very similar to Illustrator's and easier to customize than Inkscape's. There's the main canvas area, the toolbar on the left, an options bar at the top, which changes according to the selected tool, and panels on the right side. Panels can be docked or separated like in Illustrator. You can access the panels through the window menu. Affinity has a lot of the same functionality as Illustrator, but there are some differences in what things are called or how they work. Here are two important ones. The Affinity Move tool works like the regular selection tool in Illustrator. You can use it to select objects or move them. The shortcut is V. Here's how it works. Clicking on an object lets me move it by itself. Selecting the layer moves it as a group. The Affinity Node tool works like the direct selection tool in Illustrator. You can use it to move individual nodes of an object, think control points in Illustrator. These nodes can be straight or curved, just like in Illustrator, and can be converted into the other using the Point Transform tool. You can also move objects with this tool. Here are some other reasons to use Affinity instead of Inkscape. Like Inkscape, Affinity can open SVG files exported from QGIS. It can also open files in Illustrator format .ai, EPS, PSD, DWG, and other popular formats. It can export in many publishing formats, including EPS and PDF. Here's a big reason to use Affinity instead of Inkscape. Exporting a PDF in CMYK color mode, which is crucial for printing on a press, is easy in Affinity, but a clumsy multi-step process in Inkscape. Affinity is way ahead of Inkscape for text editing. Most of the text formatting controls are in the options bar, and the character and paragraph panels provide a full range of options, very much like Illustrator. The Stroke Width tool. The Stroke Width tool is a great feature for tapering the ends of rivers and streams. To use it, just select the path with the Node tool, get the Stroke Width tool, and drag the end of the path. By default, it will change the width of the entire path, like Illustrator does, but you can just click to set a point on the path to begin the tapering. As far as I can tell, this is basically impossible in Inkscape without a lot of manual work. Here's how it works. I have a stroke that represents a river or a stream. I'll select it with the Node tool, then get the Stroke Width tool. I can drag anywhere on the path to change the width, including at the end. To control where the taper starts, click on the path with the tool first. Affinity also has a built-in pixel editor that lets you do two things: edit images like in Photoshop, and also apply pixel effects to vector artwork. This is a great way to add texture to vector objects. The pixel editor is also a good alternative to GIMP. It may not have all of the same features, but it's a lot more intuitive to use and a lot more like Photoshop. Unfortunately, you can't export GeoTIFFs, so you'll still need GIMP for that. Using Affinity with QGIS is easy and straightforward, with one caveat. Here's a basic map in QGIS that shows city wards, major roads, water, parks, and some colleges and universities. Some of the things extend outside of the county area, which I don't want. It's also ugly. That's because I use QGIS to collect and organize the data, do any processing, and export the file. Then I do all of my styling in Illustrator. I usually fix the overhanging objects by adding a clipping mask in Illustrator, so I'll show that method first. I'll export the map as an SVG and open it in Illustrator. For this video, I'll skip all of the styling I would normally do. To fix the overhanging items, I'll create a clipping mask by duplicating the county border layer, moving it to the top of the layer stack, and setting it to no fill. Then I'll select all and go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and now all of the things extending beyond the border are gone. Affinity handles clipping differently. To clip the contents of a layer inside another layer, you just drag the first layer onto the second one. That's it. Here's an example of how this works. Here I have a rectangle that represents a border shape and some lines representing roads, which are on a layer above the border layer. There is also a parks layer with some of them extending beyond the border. To clip the roads to the border, I'll drag the roads layer onto the name of the border layer, and I'm done. Very simple process. I'll repeat this with the parks layer. I can also create a mask in the same way by dragging the roads layer onto the thumbnail of the border layer. Finally, I can clip the roads layer outside of the border layer by dragging the roads layer to the bottom of the border layer. This is a lot easier than using the clipping mask in Illustrator. Also, you can expand the clipped layers to access the layers inside them, making edits really easy. That being said, I've noticed some clipping problems in Affinity. Here's the county map that I exported from QGIS and opened in Affinity. Let's go over a few things before we get to the clipping issue. The first thing you'll notice is the Layers panel. Just like in Illustrator, all of the layers in my QGIS file are shown, along with two empty layers at the bottom called Background and Page. I'll delete those layers by shift-clicking on them, then clicking on the trash can. The Layers panel works a lot like Illustrator's. Click on the eye icon to show or hide a layer. Click just to the left to lock or unlock it. Click on the little arrow to show the layer contents. The top of the panel has controls for opacity and blend mode, and there are controls at the bottom to do things like add adjustment layers, masks, effects, new layers, etc. You can drag layers up and down in the panel to change their order. The first thing I'll do is change the colors. Before I can do that, I need to delete the extra bounding boxes for each layer, just like I do in Illustrator. If you leave these in place, it's very difficult to select anything. To do this, I'll get the Node tool. This is the equivalent of the Direct Selection tool in Illustrator. It even has the same shortcut of A. I'll click on an empty area and press Delete until they're all gone. Deleting the bounding boxes opens all of the layers, which is kind of annoying, so I'll close them before moving on. You can turn this off by going to the flyout menu on the Layers panel and turning off Auto Scroll. First, I'll change the color of the county layer. I'll click on the layer and then click on the map with the Node tool to select the polygon. With it still selected, I'll go to the color picker and select a light tan. The solid and hollow circles in the top left represent the fill and stroke of the object. You can choose from several color pickers. Now that my county color is set, I'll change the colors of the city wards using the same method. Two of the wards have non-contiguous areas, southwest and southeast. I'll fix the small area in southwest by selecting it, then getting the eyedropper from the color panel and clicking in the light blue area. For southeast, I'll click on the main area and go to Layer, Select, Same, Fill Color. To make it easier to see what I'm doing, I'll hide the layers from Parks on up. Right now, the city wards all have a black stroke. I want the stroke to match the background color of the county instead. One way to do this is to create a color palette for all of the colors in my document. This lets me reuse these colors for other projects. First, I'll select the Swatches panel, then I'll click on the flyout menu in the upper right and select Add Application Palette. I'll name this County Map. It now shows up in the Swatches panel. To add the tan color, I'll click on the county area to select it, then click on the Add Current Fill to Palette button, and there's my tan color. Next, I'll select the Wards layer and click on the stroke setting, then click on the tan swatch. Now I'll click on the Stroke tab and set the width to 2 points. Next, I'll turn on the Parks layer and set a darker green. I'll switch to the Swatches panel and add that color. After that, I'll change the water layer by changing the fill color, then changing the stroke to a darker color and reducing the width of the stroke. One thing about Affinity is that sometimes you can select all the objects on a layer by just clicking on the layer, but other times you have to use the Node tool and drag a box around the entire layer to select the objects. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to that, but be aware of it. Next up is the Colleges layer. I'll turn it on and I see two markers outside the county. With the Node tool, I'll draw a box around them and delete them. Then with the layer selected, I'll change the markers to a red fill and black stroke. Roads are next. For this map, I'm only showing major roads. I'll turn on the NC Routes layer, select them using the Node tool, and set the stroke width to 1 point. And now we get to the clipping issue I mentioned earlier. I want to clip the roads to the county border. I'll unlock the border layer and drag the major roads layer onto the name of the border layer. But instead of clipping them, the roads disappear within the map. This should have worked just like the simplified example we used earlier. The only thing I can think of is that there is something wrong with the geometry of the border polygon that is preventing the clipping from working. Because of this, if you're going to use Affinity instead of Illustrator, you'll need to clip any objects extending beyond the border in QGIS before exporting the file. This is easy enough to do by using Vector Geoprocessing Tools Clip. For the layers with labels, I exported the file with the Always Export Text as Text Objects option checked, and the text came through the export process intact. To convert editable text to outlines, select the text object and go to Vector Convert to Curves. Finally, to convert the document from RGB to CMYK, a requirement for printing on a press, go to Document, Setup, Convert Format /ICC Profile. Select CMYK8 from the drop-down menu and US Web-Coded SWOPv2 as the profile, unless you are told to use a different profile. Then click Convert. You may notice a color shift in some of the colors. For a better understanding of this, see my Printing Basics video. Now you can export the file to its final format. Go to File, Export, Export, and you'll see several export formats to choose from. If you're working with a designer or publisher, they will tell you which format to use. If you're not sure, use PDF. It's the standard publishing format. Click on PDF, then select PDF Press Ready. The default settings should be OK. Click Export and you're done. Check out my designer's guide to creating great maps at the mapguide.net/guide and download 2 free chapters. That's it for now. See you next time.